Jai Sadgurudeo. Good morning to all of you. Welcome to the weekly English Satsang organized by North America Institute of Vihangam Yoga. My name is Neetu and I have joined this Satsang from Edison, New Jersey. In today's times, our daily lives are increasingly occupied with meeting our physical and mental needs, along with our social responsibilities. In this fast-paced routine, the deeper needs of the soul are often forgotten. I would therefore like to sincerely congratulate each one of you for setting aside time from your busy schedules to nurture your inner self through satsang. We now transition to the next phase of our satsang, Vihangam Yoga Fundamentals. This is a classroom-style interactive session designed to deepen our understanding and strengthen our confidence in sharing the profound teachings of Vihangam Yoga. By participating wholeheartedly in Sunday satsangs, we can collectively build a stronger, more confident Navy Samaj. Let us come together with open hearts and receptive minds to learn, grow, and inspire one another. Our speaker for today is Niranjan Kumarji from Atlanta, a sincere and very dedicated disciple of Sadgurudeo, who continually inspires us through his seva bhav and devotion. We've had the opportunity to listen to Niranjan ji in past satsangs, and we are fortunate to have him with us today. I now invite Niranjan ji to share his perspective on modern science versus Vihangam Yoga. Over to you, Niranjan ji.
Thank you, Neetuji. Good morning and Jai Sadgurudeo, everyone. Hope everyone is safe in this bad weather which is going on across America. Before I start, I would like to offer my prayer to the lotus feet of Lord Sadgurudeo. बार बार बंदन करूं सद्गुरुदेव हमार यहाँ वहाँ सब ठाम में महिमाय परम्पार शरण शरण मैं शरण हूँ हे गुरु बंदी छोर मोहि उबारो हे गुरु यह सौ बार निहोर जन अधीन बंदन करे केहि विधि की जैसे वार पार की गम नहीं नमो नमो गुरुदेव. Thank you, Nituji and Vihangam Yoga family, to giving me this opportunity to talk on today's topic, modern science versus Vihangam Yoga, or you can say modern science versus Adhyatma. Modern science, we all understand how it works, but for those who are new, let me introduce what is Vihangam Yoga. It's also called the art of Sahaj Yoga. Vihangam means a bird. As a bird floats in the air, overcoming the gravitational force of the earth, so does the consciousness of the Atma, which is soul, float in the limitless space of pure consciousness. leaving behind its physical base, which is body, mind, and intellect. To distinguish it from various prevalent physical, mental, and spiritual practices, which also go by the name of yoga. The Vedic yoga is called Vihangam Yoga or Sahaj Yoga. This is how it is mentioned in our Vedas. In Vihangam Yoga, the mind is lifted to its source, and that is the Akshar Brahma, where it is permanently quietened, just like a flowing river, losing its identity in the oceans. Once the soul is freed from bondage of the mind, it realizes its true nature and it stops identifying itself within the human body. In fact, the soul then acts as the master and guides the mind and the body in the way it likes. Having realized the futility of worldly pleasures derived through the sense organs and their objects, it soars higher in search of the absolute bliss, which is Paramanand. It is then only that the real meditation of Vihangam Yoga starts. The moment the soul realizes, who am I? Then the actual adhyatma starts, terminating in samadhi, the ultimate aim of yoga, of meeting with the Supreme Soul. That's the reason why we have this body, this human body. In this state, the soul has attained liberation while residing in the body itself. That's called one of the state Jivana Mukti also. So the literal meaning of the word yog is union. Vihangam Yoga is defined as the union of Atma with Paramatma. This union is achieved after Atma, the soul, frees itself from the shackles of the mind and intellect and attains its pure consciousness state. The Supreme Soul is a purely conscious entity and is beyond the reach of the mind and intellect. The mind and the intellect are inert by themselves and are activated by the consciousness of the soul. Swamiji also says in Sarveda, चक्षु के चेतन करण को, the conscious energy of the soul which is continuously flowing through our eyes. Mind catches that conscious energy and takes you into the different subjects, the worldly pleasures. And that's how your soul gets trapped into the endless cycle. So an inert object cannot reach a conscious entity, far less while with our merge in it. So therefore the physical yoga cannot reach the ideal of Vihangam yoga. This physical yoga is also required to keep our body fit and fine so that we can sit a proper posture to do the meditation. Meditation is a term coined in English, but meditation consists of three words. First is called dharana, then happens dhyan, and then the samadhi. Swamiji said in survey, the man bandhe sodharana, the technique which helps you to overcome or to control your mind completely is called dharana. So this technique. It was this yoga, this technique was that Lord Krishna taught to Arjun in the celebrated, work which is called Bhagavad Gita, right? During the Mahabharata period, around 5,000 or 5,500 years ago, right? So, if see the power of this Vihangam Yoga, this Adhyatma, this technique that this was taught to Arjun when the war is about to begin, means which is between the battlefield. This divine knowledge of Vihangam Yoga disappeared gradually after the Mahabharata period. It was revived by the real mystic saint Kabir more than 500 years ago. And then in modern era, our Swamiji has done 17 years of rigorous meditation and brought back this technology, this knowledge again for the human being. The Vihangam yogis of today are verifying the experience described therein. I mean, somebody reads the Bhagavad Gita and then they are finding, yes, this is the true knowledge which was during the Vedic period. What modern science believes? So the modern science believes in objects perceived by sense organs with or without the help of various gadgets. Human sense organs are bound by severe limitations. The eyes and ears can see and hear only within a limited spectrum. Isn't that true? We do know that an eagle's eye, or you can take an example of a dog's ear, can see or hear beyond human capabilities. This holds good for other sense organs like those of smell, taste, or touch. With this, with the help of this, the instrument which are being invented from time to time, man has been able to extend his perception beyond natural human mind and intellect. Have also made deductions from certain phenomena occurring in this world. This has led to formulation of many hypotheses from time to time. These hypotheses have been changing since the dawn of civilization and will keep on changing till man is able to realize the truth. The modern scientists, the modern scientists have observed that the universe is continuously expanding, and this expansion is thought to be due to the process of creation of the universe. The scientists say that the universe will ultimately cease to expand and then the gravitational force will, you know, uh, play its role to reduce it again to the cosmic egg. This is what the modern science and scientists say. Interestingly, the scientists have put forward the theory of oscillating universe, right, which states that the cycles of creation and dissolution will continue endlessly, a well-known Indian concept, right? What they call cosmic egg has been termed by the ancient Indian seas as Mool Prakriti. What is Mool Prakriti? From where this entire Prakriti generates again and goes back again into the Mool Prakriti. That's why Swamiji say in the sixth entity, Prakriti is also one of them. Even though it's not conscious, but it remains, which is said to be composed of three basic substances. What are those? Sat, Raj, and Tam. These three substances combine in different prosperous, or you can say, for the proportion during creation, giving rise to a variety of physical objects. This is analogous to the scientific knowledge that the atoms, which the physical objects are composed of, consist of three fundamental particles known as electrons, protons, and neutrons. And atoms of one object differ from those of the other only in the number and combination of these fundamental particles. That's why the elements looks different because of the number of the atoms, protons, electrons, protons, and neutrons. But their fundamental particles, fundamental things are the same, which is electron, protons, and neutrons. And that is what our Mul Prakriti is. It looks different, vibrant, but it all came or originates, generates from this Mul Prakriti. According to modern science, the basic forces are three: gravitational, electromagnetic, and nuclear, which cause motion in particles and bodies and determine the interrelation among them. Then, what is the origin of these forces? What is that which causes explosion in the cosmic egg? Is there a ruling power which regulates the movement of stars and the galaxies in the universe, which vastness could be imagined by fact that light traveling at the speed of 300,000 kilometers per second has not yet reached our earth from many of the stars. Isn't that true? The scientists have no answer to these questions. Why that light has not yet reached to the earth, which is coming very far, far from the different stars. Even though it's traveling 3,300 kilometers per second. Our sages of past have discovered answer to these queries. The technique they employed was basically different from that used by the scientists. Unlike the scientists, they neither attempted to develop equipment to bring the universe within the perceiving powers of their sense organs, nor did they invent supercomputers powerful through to to add their the mental faculties. On the contrary, the ancient spiritualists mastered a technique of withdrawing the flow of consciousness from the senses, mind, and intellect, and thus realize the pure conscious form of their real selves. The pure conscious form of an individual is called Atma or the self, and the state in which the Atma is completely realized is called Samadhi. They discovered that Atma, when freed from the bondage of body and mind, has great potential power, much beyond the concept of modern sciences. The Samadhi was verified over and over again for a long span of time by a number of great sayers called, you can say, rishis, maharshis. They handed down their observations to their followers, generations after generations. These observations are codified in the four Vedas, and they have not been improved upon or falsified by modern scientists. No one has dared still to say this is wrong. No one has proved even, because that was the truth. which was realized and then codified and notified into that our four Vedas. In fact, the more the science progresses, the more does it come nearer to the regardings or recordings in the Vedas. They are still researching on our Vedas. What was the truth hidden inside in the codified form? They are using their modern tools and techniques to decodify that. But we all know those came from after samadhi. They all came from after the self realization. That code has been written in our Vedas. The Vedic Rishi experienced during their samadhi a primordial being, supremely conscious and superbly blissful. It is called Paramakshar, Parambrahm, or Paramatma. When the Atma unites itself with the Paramatma, it is able to imbibe the qualities of Paramatma. An iron is just like an iron ball. If you put in a fire of a furnace, become a glowing red mass of fire itself. But it doesn't mean that iron ball is a fire. It looks similar, red in color, just like a fire, but it's not a fire. Similarly, a soul, when merged with the Param soul, which is Supreme Soul or Paramatma, the gun, the characteristics of the Supreme Soul, signs in the soul. It doesn't mean the soul is becomes a Paramatma, the soul is become a Supreme Soul. Similarly, when the finitely conscious Atma merges with the infinite conscious Paramatma, it becomes an all-knowing entity and thus acquires the complete knowledge of the entire existence of this universe, as well as why this soul appear here in this body. What was the prime goal of this soul? The techniques of achieving the union of Atma and Paramatma is called Yoga. In the Vedic sense of the term, it's called union, to distinguish it from various prevalent physical, mental, and spiritual practices, which also go by the name of yoga. The Vedic yoga is called Vihangam Yoga or Sahaj Yoga. As I mentioned earlier, the six fundamental entities, right? The basic eternal existence are six in number. We all know. For those who are new, they are Paramatma, number one, or you can say Parampurus, or the Supreme Being. That's number one. Second one is Akshar Brahm, the cosmic executor from which the entire universe generates. Third one is Soul, the Atma, right? Fourth one is Nitya Anadi Sadguru, the eternal spiritual master. Fifth one is called Prakriti, a nature. And sixth is called Kal, a time concept. As they are eternal, there was never a time when they did not exist. And there will never be a time when they will cease to exist, and thus they have no beginning and no end. The first four, as I mentioned, of the uh, in all the six number, which is Paramatma, Akshar Brahm, Nitya Anadi Sadguru, and Soul. These first four, these entitles are is called conscious or sentient, while the last two, which is Prakriti and Kal, are inherent. Do you know why? Because the conscious beings are those which processes the faculties of knowledge, desire, and action. But the of the two insentient entities, which is Kal and Prakriti, devoid of these faculties, Prakriti is inert, and Kal is neither conscious nor inert. The forms And characteristics of the six eternal entities have been described also in the detailed form in our spiritual encyclopedia, which is Sorbet, which was written by Sadguru Sadafal Devji Maharaj. Very in details, in depth, it's mentioned about. So this is how it's quite similar but different a modern science as well as the Vihangam Yoga, or you can say Adhyatma. Modern science uses tools and techniques, short, if you say, to discover something, to find something, or to realize something. But the actual realizations happens when the soul liberates itself from the bondage, mind, body, intellect. And when it realizes, it start doing the meditation which is called sadhan or which is called dhyan. Before that, there is no dhyan. It's called dharana. As Swamiji mentioned, man bandhe sudharna. The entire technique which controls your mind, unless it's controlled, the soul cannot begin its journey. Currently, the soul is in the trap of this all. Continuously, our conscious energy of the souls is getting released from our eyes. And that's why modern science also proved it 80 to 90% of the mind resides just in front of our eyes. And it takes all the conscious energy, the power of the souls, and goes into the different worldly pleasure subjects. And it takes you even though you don't want, but that mind takes you in different subjects in a fraction of a second and keeps you disturbed all the time. That's why controlling of mind first is required, which is also Bhagavan Sri Krishna taught to Arjun during the Mahabharata war, to control your mind first and then see who is in front of you and what is your role and what is dharma. So the controlling of mind outside, then inside is very much the first and second stage which is required. And the third stage, what we do, we purify our mind. Our kundalini awakens. And then the actual journey after that is starts, the begins of this journey of the soul, which is called. Then in the fourth stage, soul starts realizing who am I, why I came here, what is my purpose. Then it realizes its prime goal, and then he starts the dhyan. And then slowly, it goes further. That's how the journey begins. And once the soul realizes, and once it's unite completely with the Supreme Soul, which is Paramatma, it gains all the knowledges, whatever he was, lack of when he was in the body, and was continuously looking for that eternal truth. And that is the only reason why we all looks for better pleasure. Even though, let's say a simple example, we have a house of 2 bedrooms. After some times, we will see, okay, if I would have a 5 bedrooms house, it would be better. The ask for, the urge for getting better and better is nothing but you want a pleasure somehow. What is that pleasure? Those are all temporary pleasures. We get happy, but not permanently, unless the soul gets the complete pleasure, which is reunite back to the Supreme Soul and gains all the understanding, the knowledge that what he is lacking when he was in the body. That's called ultimate pleasure. So I hope I cleared the vision of the modern science versus a Vihangam Yoga, how it works. Of course, um, we have to be limit in our time. And if we have any question and concerns, I would be happy to answer. Jai Sadgurudeo. Sadgurudeo.
Thank you so much, Niranjan ji, um, for sharing your valuable insights on the topic modern science versus Vihangam Yoga. You explained this subject with such great depth and clarity by bringing highly relevant and relatable examples and relating or correlating to what is happening in the world today and how why it's happening and taking it back to the explanation in Vihangam Yoga. So I would like to uh, express my thanks on behalf of everyone. I would also like to invite anyone who has questions, reflections, or personal experiences aligned with today's discussion. And if there are any new people who have joined this satsang for the first time, we warmly welcome you. Please introduce yourself and let us know how you came to learn about this satsang. So we will first start with introduction from anyone who has joined the satsang for the first time, and then we will move to the question and answer session. Okay, let us move to the question and answer session. So I would like to invite anyone who has questions or thoughts or would like to share anything on the topic of today. You're welcome.
Jai Sadgurudeo. Good morning.
Jai Sadgurudev, Niranjan
Yeah.
ji.
I don't have any specific question, but I think this is a very beautiful topic that Niranjan ji chose about the Vihangam Yoga and the modern science. And I somehow, but I can probably express my opinion only. Um, um, I was doing quite a bit of research on quantum physics, and the theory of gravity, which was like the biggest problem in the scientific world. The way I have understood is to unify the these two worlds. The what we call is the macro world and the micro world. The micro is the quantum, and the macro is the laws of the galaxies and universes and all that, right? Which is the uh, so even Einstein was trying to kind of merge these two concepts together, which is he was already very puzzled with a lot of quantum physics related phenomena at that time, and not really a very big believer, and certain things he never understood, and we call him like the scientist of the century, right? And even today, the scientists are working to kind of unify these two theories, the quantum world and the world of the gravity, right? And what the best they are able to come down to is string theory, string. So they at least recognize that there is a possibility that these two worlds can be unified by the fundamental understanding of dimensions of vibrating filaments of energy. And when I look at the Vihangam Yoga, right, it is still very gross. I mean, the moment we talk about the vibrating strings of energy, and they are not able to even detect it because it is so that they think that is undetectable. There's no scientific instrument to be able to detect those, so it is just like a theory right now. But even that is very, very gross as compared to the the theory, or at least the concept, which is experienced and mentioned in Survey. So I think it's a very beautiful topic. This is a whole different level of unification now. Now we are talking. So the modern science is just trying to unify these two worlds. But this is another level of unification, which is this is still Prakritic, even the quantum and this and gravity. But going to unify and be able to understand with the science of consciousness. Everybody talks about consciousness, but but looks like unifying that can only be done through experience, and to get that experience is is always going to be above and beyond the century scientist of the century or anything like that. So I somehow feel that it is mm, because the this dimension requires to become a beautiful and that is even though it is very much dependent on a scientist or a person, but nobody is willing to give up what they have accumulated in the physical world, and that's what makes it very, very rare. So I don't know, this is just like my thought process. I just wanted to throw that up, and if, of course, I invite anybody else's thoughts and perspectives. Ji, thank you.
Thank you, Niranjan ji, for sharing your thoughts and your perspective. And this is a very, I would say, interesting and intriguing topic. And again, we all should feel so fortunate that we have the opportunity to be in satsangs, to be in Vihangam Yoga under the shelter of Sadgurudeo, which is the knowledge that we are getting is beyond, far beyond the physical realm that the scientists are working on. And there's so much more to be discovered through experience that modern science does not even talk about. Um, so let's continue
Ji,
this
yeah,
discussion.
yeah.
Ji.
And because the very fact is, Neetu that this Vihangam Yoga or Yoga in general, it requires the person to purify their soul, and that, I mean, forget about the even the soul actually purify their mind first, and 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 for some reason it is so hard for them. So so it's a very great unification discussion to have, and unless and the good news is that there's a lot of people who are listening to these things and moving beyond that. Okay, they know it now, that's it. but but when it comes down to implementation, actually, the one of my friend gives me an example. I think jokingly, I tell this sometimes, that he says that there was, there was a businessman, and he was very, very religious, so religious that he would never miss a satsang. Actually, he was always participating in some panditji related satsang. Once he had to go on a business trip, and he told his son that, hey, I need you to represent me and be very attentive in the satsang, because I'm going to be gone for like 2 weeks. So please make sure that you attend everything, and be diligent on that. And the son said, "Sure, sure, father. I will exactly follow your instructions." And then he quietly tells him, "You must represent me. You must listen. You must participate, but don't practice that in your business." So that is the state of affairs. So even that very religious man is telling his son that go and participate and listen, understand, but do not implement that in your business. So it's kind of like a comedic situation, which is very true, which happens. So I think that's what will make that these two worlds uh, always very durlabh, very rarity, I think. Yeah. Mm.
Right. And you're right, Niranjanji. It's one thing to listen to it, and it's another totally different thing to be able to implement it. And then then what comes from a consistent implementation and commitment is some kind of experience. That is why it is so hard. So we will also hear from others. I do see Shikha ji has her hand raised and Monica ji. So we'll go first with Shikha ji.
Yes, Sadgurudeo, everyone. This topic is so deep. It's a very trivial question. But, some of the ancient temples in India have depicted the, growth of a fetus over 9 months. And these are ancient temples when we had no ultrasounds, right? So my question is, at what stage of meditation do people begin to get so deep that they start to understand without any apparatus, without any scientific machines, how things are happening in the world? Is it in the first level, second level, third level? What level of meditation does that happen?
That's a very beautiful question, Shikha ji. And I would request Niranjan ji to share your thoughts on this question.
Yeah, it's hard to say, but this is also called a siddhi. All siddhi are possible with this body. Knowing this nature completely also is possible within this body, right? Doing certain kind of practice makes you, a kind of that knowledge. Have you heard the nadi parikshan? They touch your nadi and know entire the movement of your body, how this and your organs are working and not working, and what kind of diseases are. So similarly, the practice it was in ancient times and in modern science also. In modern time also, they do that practice and come to know this kinds of things which is happening inside your body. They even know if it is a boys or girl, right? So that's a very simple technique. Even the homeopathy medicine also talk about how can you easily identify if it's a boys or girl. So this is just a simple technique, probably I would say, a siddhi that they practice and then they become a master on that, just like a nadi parikshan a bad does, not more than this. Jai Sadgurudeo.
Ji, thank you for the response, Niranjan ji, and Shikha ji, thank you for the question. I would like to add here that we have heard in Amritvani Swamiji saying that all of these faculties that one develops on their path, on their spiritual path, they all come automatically. Once the noise has quietened, the continuous noise of the mind, the thoughts, and everything. So you ultimately start elevating yourself, and Swamiji says that these are very ordinary strengths or skills that one might develop, and one has to again not be distracted by these strengths, or suddenly you start when you start thinking, and you might be able to predict the future, or you may even be able to predict what the other person is thinking. So I think, Shikhaji, these are all again experience based, and um, that's what my understanding is.
Right. Yeah, I am aware of that. But, at what stage of meditation do these kind of knowledges start to seep in? And the reason I wanted to know this is because this is precisely what I have heard, that people begin to feel that now they have the power and they start to digress from the original goal. And that is why I wanted to figure out, at what stage do we need to sort of get careful and observe if these things are happening, and, carry ourselves on the right path.
Yeah. So again, I would request Niranjan ji or
Yeah,
anyone else to
I
comment on
mean,
that.
yeah. So Sikha, just straightforward. I don't have any answer right now because I haven't experienced any such things so far, right? So probably this question will refer to someone is really experienced this kind of technique and they can, you know, tell better on this. So I would just stay for this question. Jai
Sure,
Sadgurudeo.
no problem. Yeah.
Okay,
Okay.
let's move ahead. Hopefully, in some discussion, you'll be able to find an answer to this, or Shikhaji, through your own experience, you will. I'm sure you will find an answer to this.
Far, far away from there, Neetuji. Far, far away.
Yeah, I think again, if I were to share my understanding, how I interpret this is it. So, one thing that I have also heard, probably read or heard in some other satsang, is that suppose your mind quietens, and this may not be that high level, Shikaji, like the third level or the fourth level. So, when your mind quietens, it is like some noise, continuous background disturbance that has been going on. And in the physical world also, when that noise subsides, then you are able to hear. Suppose there is a, music playing or someone is talking, you are able to hear. Similarly, if this constant chatter of your mind, thoughts, it quietens, then you may also be able to hear through a different faculty what the other person is thinking. And some people who are not, generally people who are not, don't have this faculty, they will say, how come you read my mind? So I think reading the mind is also some progress that happens in this path. That's just one very simple example.
Um, Jai Sadgurudeo, this is Vijay.
Jai Sadhguru Vijay ji.
Yeah. Now, if we read Surved, in Surved, Swamiji has mentioned about experiences, how the experiences of Jad and Chetan appear to the sadhak. Swamiji says, जाहि भूमि जो दृश्य है रहत सामने आए जड़ चेतन दो भेद में पर अपरा छवि छाए. So what it means is that once we get hold of our consciousness, and if we can concentrate our consciousness without using our indriyas to an abode which you want to experience. If somebody wants to experience the vastness of the universe, then the consciousness has to reach there. If somebody wants to experience the micro world, then the consciousness can reach there, not our eyes, not our other senses. So when a yogi get hold of the conscious power, then whatever yogi wants to know, what yogi does it just connects the consciousness to that abode. The moment consciousness is connected to the abode, then par apara chavichai, the jad element and the conscious element, both are experienced by the yogi. So if we talk in terms of, this scientifically, if you want to understand how a yogi will reach to that stage, it is possible only when, if you want to experience something that our senses cannot experience, then you have to reach to the stage of the consciousness, which is beyond third stage. So it will be when you really attain union with Akshar Brahm, then all Srishti and Pralay related activities are under your perception, whichever we want to explore. If we really attain that union, then whichever we want to explore, we can make our consciousness reach to that abode and experience it. Okay, so fourth and fifth stage is where you can, with the yogic siddhi, as as Niranjanji said, that there are individual siddhis that people spend their 30 years, 40 years of time to perfect in. But as Neetuji also very rightly said, that once we attain our hold of consciousness, which is beyond third stage, when the mind quietens, then all the siddhis start pouring into soul automatically, and that is what is called yoga siddhi. Yoga siddhi is the mother of all siddhis. So in the Vihangam Yoga journey, in the meditational journey of Vihangam Yoga, Swamiji definitely protects us from all these kind of deviations from the journey, and so the siddhis will be hidden. But then, as we attain the conscious state, that's when these siddhis will come all at once. And so, whatever, but then it's yogi's wish. In fact, in this line, uh, in one of the explanation in Amritvani, Sadguru and Almighty, the consciousness as it is explained, what is the difference? Ideally, for disciple, there is no difference, but with existence, with the if we talk about four types of consciousness, there are two consciousness. One is Almighty's consciousness, one is Sadguru's consciousness. What is the difference? The difference is that Sadguru can flow his consciousness wherever he wishes and can know things whenever he wants to know. If Sadguru wants, let's say right now, I mean, I'm just bringing this topic because this is important for a disciple who is connected to Sadguru. Let's say we are doing some kind of activity and some seva, which we think that, okay, we will do at our own time. And when you go to meet Sadguru, Swamiji at that point of time may close his eyes and then ask you the relevant question. So, what does Sadguru do? Sadguru can connect to any stages of your life and can scan you. What power Sadguru uses to do that? It is again the yogic power. The same kind of scanning a yogi can attain when it reaches to the stage of consciousness, where you have power to scan jar element and the conscious element and experience it. Okay, so I hope that answers the question. Yeah. Thank you, Jessica.
Thank you so much, Vijayji, and for elaborating further on this question and then also citing this doha from Swarved. Shikaji, I hope you got an answer to your question.
Yes, this was amazing. Thank you so much, Vijay Bhaiya.
Yeah, I want to say, Niranjanji, it was a very well delivered satsang and very nice space, very inspiring. My experience has been we are on a journey and we are searching, whether it is yoga within or science without. Everybody is searching. And I begin to contemplate on that search itself. And I realize a seeker must cease his or her seeking. That's what even Kabirji said. When I stopped searching, I found myself without going anywhere. And that is the Sumiran. We can search as much as we want to. We can get as much as knowledge we want to. we can remember all the bhumis and we can explain all the questions. It's not the answers we want. We want to eliminate our questions. A true seeker has no question. And I feel when I'm totally without question, and that's a sign of contentment. We're never content. We become happy with one answer or another answer. But total contentment is when you ask Sadhguru, I don't want anything, but I want to just be with you. You are amazing, almighty. And there is nothing. I have no question. I don't want any answers. I just am with you. And when I just contemplate and meditate like that, it's just amazing feeling. Then all the answers I get within myself without asking outside. So that's the experience I have.
Thank you so much, Hasmukh ji. This is very enlightening and beautiful thoughts you have shared. Thank you so much. And I also see there is a message from Perry on the chat. So, Perry, if you would like to share any thoughts, you're welcome.
Hello there. I just joined fairly late, but I hope to make the next session. I've just chimed in and listening to some of the observations, and I just want to say hello to everybody, and maybe next time I can have some valid input. Thank you.
Sure. Thank you, Perry, and welcome to the satsang. And I hope you can make it to the future satsang. So thank you so much for introducing yourself.
Well, thank you. You're welcome. I hope to talk to you next time.
Sure. I also see there is a hand raised. I think Monica ji has her hand raised. Please go ahead, Monica ji.
Ji, Neetu ji. Jai Sadgurudeo and good morning to all of you. I have listened to satsang so many times, and every time I listen to it, it brings me to another zone where there is no end to learning and relearning what we already have learned. So thank you so much, Niranjan ji, for such a thorough, precise, and an amazing discussion on today's topic. It was very well delivered, just like Hasmukh ji said it, and I'm on the same page with Hasmukh ji. But since it's a satsang and we have a section of question and answers, which I believe is an important component for the new joiners as well as people who are on this journey, sometimes contemplate on subjects where although we may not be looking for exact answers, but we are just curious. So coming from that point of view, I was contemplating, and I was curious to ask Niranjan ji when he was mentioning about the six conscious entities, and he mentioned about Akshar Brahm. At that point, I had this question that how does Akshar Brahm fit into the realm of the modern science? Has it been explored by modern science, or what is your take on that, Niranjan ji?
Ji, thank you, Monica ji, for the question. And I would request Niranjan ji to please take up this question.
Yeah, Sadgurudeo, Monica ji. Yeah, good question. I would still say, like, they have reached to the zone which they called, a egg. The universe is a form of an egg going back, right? But they are still discovering. They are just saying it's a vibration, but what kind of vibration is, why this universe expands again, which vibration is responsible for that. I think they are still in the process of getting that understanding. But Swamiji already mentioned in our survey, right? Akshar Mahi Kamp hai. So the kamp, the vibration is of that Akshar Brahma. So still, I guess the modern science has to reach there to understand that, and how easy, or maybe I don't know if they have the right tools or equipment to reach there, but it is just like of science of physics and chemistry. A physics student has many equipments, right, to prove many things. Where the chemistry science student says, I know how the salt forms or I know how the water forms. I can prove it. But the physics science doesn't have that apparatus, that right apparatus to prove that. He'll never trust that, right? And he says like, no, it doesn't work. And chemistry science always says, come to my lab and I'll show you it happens. When hydrogen mixes with oxygen, it becomes water. When sodium mixes with chlorine, it becomes a salt. But you have to just be aware of the right amount, the right number. Similarly, the the conscious science or adhyatma, or you can say just simply Vihangam Yoga, is a same kind of laboratory where we have all the apparatus was given by the Lord Sadgurudeo to experiment on this body, experience it, and know the truth. Where the modern science is just like a physical or physics science, where they still have not a right tools, or maybe they are still developing the right tools to go and prove that. This is how I see the this the question that you asked, and the perspective of modern science versus the Adhyat right now. Thank you, Jasper.
Very well explained, Niranjanji. I completely understand the concept. However, I have another thought, which is on the cosmic executor. I was in, in the understanding that since the cosmic executor is responsible for, creating and recreating the universe, is the vibration does not get is not I shouldn't say supposed to be, but because I haven't gone into that detail, but uh, it, are we saying that the cosmic executor is responsible for creating this entire universe? However, the vibration that that causes it to create comes from Akshar Brahm. Is my understanding correct, Niranjanji? Otherwise, if not, please clarify.
So, if I understood your question correctly, you're asking about, is this the cosmic creation, right? The universe is a cosmic creation, right?
Yes, Niranjanji. Yes.
And
Yes.
what is cosmic? And if you ask a question, what is cosmic energy is, then what is your answer?
Cosmic energy, I mean, if when I did not know about Akshar Brahm, I would, I would wasn't in the understanding that that also is part of the cosmic creation.
Maybe you're breaking, I guess.
Are you able, can you hear me now?
Yeah, I mean, you are able, I mean, I can hear you, but you're breaking in between. So I didn't understand what is actually meant.
Oh, sorry. I think maybe it's my connection. I can reiterate. So I am in the understanding that the vibration is also a part of the creation by the cosmic executor.
Right. See, actually, if you define the cosmic energy, right, which is modern science say is the responsible for this universal life, or you can say the universal life force that um, responsible for or permits everything which is existing right now, influencing the emotional well-being, spiritual growth, or interconnectedness of all the life, right? That is where the cosmic energy is, right? It's called the primordial energy that flows through, around, and within the entire cosmos, right? This is what the cosmic energy is, right? It is considered the source and sustainer of all form of existence, present not only in the celestial bodies like stars and galaxies, but also in our thoughts, emotions, physical bodies, everywhere, right? So you can say in one term, yes, the cosmic energy is the energy which is responsible for the expansion of the universe, but that energy is what actually, but from where it generates, and that is generates from the Akshar Brahma, right? That generates from the
Yes.
Akshar Brahma. But Akshar Brahma itself is a, what is, I told you about the six entities, right? This is one of them. Akshar Brahma is one of them, which is permanent, correct? That
Yes.
ever, right?
Yes.
And right, and the Mool
Yes.
Prakriti also I talked about the Prakriti, the Mool
Yes.
Prakriti, where this entire universe, when you know, gets back into the Mool Prakriti, and whenever the time happens, then it starts expanding again.
Hmm.
So you understand in this way, Akshar Brahm is the permanent, right? Where the cosmic energy, Akshar Brahm is also, in other words, is called the cosmic executor. That's how you take it, the word, okay? Akshar Brahm is
Okay.
also known as the cosmic executor. So that's how,
Oh, okay.
yes, that's
So
how,
they are not too different.
no, it's not a different thing. The cosmic
Oh, okay.
executor is the Akshar Brahm.
Is the Akshabram? Okay,
Yeah,
okay. Okay. I thought I heard them as two different entities, and then I
no,
was trying to
that's the
correlate.
energy.
Okay.
That's the energy that people coined as a cosmic energy, which expands.
Oh, yes, yes. So, also another small thought, is this the vibration that you mentioned? Is this the same vibration? जैसे वो you mentioned a Swarve Doha, right? The Akshar, the Kamp. I have also heard that Doha. So
Right.
I'm trying to relate that now to the vibration we feel in the meditation. Is
Yeah,
that
this
the
is
same?
correct, because this all are energy only, right? Either you
Yeah.
called it as a cosmic energy, or you called
Mm-hmm.
it as a vibration, or
Mm-hmm.
sound, whatever it,
Mm-hmm.
you term the words, right, in a different forms, but it's all are ultimately energy,
Right. Okay. I got my answer. Thank you so much,
right?
Niranjan ji. Thank you so much. Yeah, back to you, Nitu ji. Jai
Yeah.
Sadgurudeo.
There's some comment that I would like to make. It's a very profound topic, Mahaji, that you raised actually. And I was thinking about it and trying to piece the puzzles together because I keep researching about the both side, right? Now the Vihangam Yoga knowledge, uh, uh, we can just try to put more light onto it. So that's the only attempt that I'm trying to make here. Um, I sometimes keep watching like how far the scientific community has gone up to the Big Bang. And even if you Google right now, you'll see that there's something called Planck time, which is 10 to the power minus 43 seconds. So after Big Bang, and after 10 to the power minus 43 seconds from the time t equal to 0, which is, let's say, the Big Bang, right? The physical theories and equations support until that point. So all the quantum gravity equations, massive equations, combining the theory of relativity and everything, right? Quantum physics, it works up till that time. But beyond 10 to the power minus 43, which is the Planck epoch, they call it, they have no understanding, and they're very honest about that, by the way. Every scientist, the theoretical physicists, the top ones, they always accept that sorry, we don't know exactly what happened before that. Now, at least they are very honest until that point. That's very good news. But given that they are not willing to access the other side of the story, which is in the Vedic literatures, and some of the scientists did access that actually, and they were absolutely transformed. It's just that some of them may not like Carl Sagan is the best one. Actually, people should do research on him. But based on what my understanding is, that our Vedic literature talks about, we are about 150 trillion years into the start of our Brahman, our universe. 150 trillion years. Now remember, this Big Bang is not that same thing, because the Big Bang is talking about when that explosion happened. And this is like very gross level. Our literature talks about emergence of Akash Tattva, what we call empty space or ether or whatever in English, right? So when the reverberation of Akshar happened in Mahashunya, which is the Parmanu Mandal, now this is where the scientists will begin to get lost, because they will have to literally go back into Sanskrit and maybe Swarved if they can, and begin to understand that. So then it literally, Big Bang is a modern history from that context. Not even modern history, it's probably a blink of an eye. That's the kind of context that we have to actually look into. And now we can actually speak about that. Given that, there's the Googles and AI and all this thing is happening, we should be able to rapidly access where we are in terms of the physical researches and sciences. But this is something which one has to basically seek and begin to understand, and then look at which context we are speaking about. And so you can see that in context of 150 trillion years, which is Brahma's 50 days, right? Big Bang, which they say about 14 billion years ago, it's a modern history, isn't it? It's like 1,000 times, or do the math. So because our literature is talking about how that reverberation happened, and infinite universes are created from the Mahashunya Parmanu Mandal. And ours is probably just one of them. And Big Bang may just be a much, much later time, some grosser event happening. And we think that that is the time equal to zero. No, the Kal is a Kal Chakra that is constantly churning inside the 1/4 of the existence, one path that we talk about. So I think I was just thinking about that, and I thought that all these scientific theory, the string theory, everything that we are talking about is like in a very small time gap that it is happening, because the history of the existence starts 150 trillion years ago.
Right.
And so just wanted to, and that starts not with the grosser elements that we are looking at. It starts with the emergence and reverberation and emergence of Akash Tattva, 5 elements: Akash, Vayu, Agni, Jal, Prithvi. And from
Right.
there, all the karmendriyas, gyanendriyas, they all emerge from there. Prana, man, and now you're talking about, it's like
Right.
if the scientists can get to that, it would be amazing. Yeah.
Right. So it's all about, what? The atom has two forms. One is called conscious, and another is called inert. The modern science is still running behind the inert part of the atom. And that's the issue and the problem which they are not able to reach to the truth which they are trying to. So the atom has conscious part. Swamiji always says, Anu Parmanu ka yoga hai. How it happens? That's the conscious part of the atom which happens. Unless the science drive toward the conscious part of the atom, it is going to be difficult for them to understand the really meaning of atom, and how it and the existence of the atom, and how it play an important role of this entire life cycle and everything on this universe. Jai Sadgurudeo.
Thank you.
Ji. And so I think this marriage of the modern science and the science of consciousness is it will probably require a real understanding of the knowledge in Vedas and Surveda, I think. And then it is possible to at least theoretically So that is a different level of honesty that we are talking about. Actually, one honesty is that, oh, we don't know what happened beyond the Planck time. That's good. You're accepting that. That means you don't know everything. That's great. But then, are you willing to actually access the hidden information, which some people become absolutely shy in actually even talking about that? So that is the demystification that needs to happen, or that is the deconditioning of the of, let's say, the most elite scientific community. Because when they begin to accept that, and decondition themselves, then only I think the knowledge will expand into the universities and the top education systems everywhere. Yeah.
Okay. Thank you so much, everyone, for this very interesting discussion. I would like to sincerely thank all the participants for their active engagement, their questions, their thoughts and perspectives. And your thoughtful questions, reflections, and shared experiences make these sessions truly enriching. And together, we are laying a strong foundation to spread the transformative power of Vihangam Yoga. I wish we could continue discussing on this topic because it's so vast and it's interesting, and there are so many things that are not explained, but time has the limitations, and to honor that, we should move to the next phase, the last phase of today's satsang, which is the Shanti part. I request everyone to sit down for Shanti part. In Shanti part, we chant for peace for everyone in this universe. May Sadgurudeo bless the entire cosmos with peace, love, and prosperity. I would now request Jessica ji to recite the last few lines of Shanti part for us. Over to you, Jessica ji.
Sadgurudeo, Shanti Path. Hey Prabhu Shanti Swarupa Ho, Shanti Shanti Maya Shanti, Shanti Shanti Jana Shanti Ho, Purna Shanti Maya Shanti. Hey Prabhu Shanti Pradana Kara, Doro Sarva Shanti, Deva Sadafala Shanti Maya, Shanti Shanti Sukha Shanti. Boli Sadgurudeo Bhagavan Ki Jai.
Thank you, Jessica ji, for such a soulful recitation of Shanti part. I would like to thank all of you for joining today's satsang. I encourage everyone to ponder upon the topic we discussed today. I'd like to extend a heartfelt thanks to Sulbha ji, Niranjan ji from Atlanta, Jessica ji, Niranjan ji from California, Shikha ji, Vijay ji, Hasmukh ji, Perry, and Monica ji for their seva and active engagement in this session, and for all of you for joining this session. I also thank the team behind this for organizing and coordinating this satsang every week. I pray to Sadgurudeo for peaceful and spiritual week ahead for all of us. See you all next Sunday at 9 a.m. EST on the same Zoom session. Have a wonderful day and week ahead. Jai Sadgurudeo.
Jai Sadgurudeo.